Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be diving into some of the most frequent asked questions military families have when they receive their PCS orders. Moving can be very stressful, as we all know. What an understatement, right? So my goal is to help you make it as easy as possible by giving you information so that you can plan ahead and make sure the timelines all fit because there's a bunch of moving pieces when it comes to moving in the military or PCSing, as we all call it. Um, but it doesn't have to be as stressful once you know how to do it and get familiar with everything and have this information. So let's go. Okay, so for the initial preparation time, I would say about 6 months ahead is probably a good amount of time that you should be ready and be able to find housing and do all the things that you need to do. As soon as you receive your orders, it's 6 to 12 months out, I basically would start planning ahead. That gives you plenty of time to kind of handle all the necessary paperwork and a lot of the preliminary arrangements that you might need to handle. The next thing I would do is research your location. That's a huge one, guys. I don't know how many stations everyone's been to or if you've PCS before, but you want to look at the areas you're moving to, see what you're getting into beforehand. That's something I always was, as soon as I found out, I was all over the place, Google, everywhere. But so there's some good websites that I would look into for information. One is going to be your future installations website. That's going to be very valuable to you. And also, I'd also look at Military One Source. That's got a lot of good information as well. They're both very helpful sites. So as far as housing goes, that's one of the most important decisions that you can make for you and your family and yourself. It's a huge decision because there's so many factors and things that you need to look at when doing that. So to me, that's definitely, and probably to a lot of people, that's one of the most important factors is where you're going to live. Are you going to live on base? Are you going to live off base? Are you going to rent? Are you going to buy? The safety in the area, what's the pros and cons of everything. But we're going to dive into housing a little bit further in the video. So we'll go into more specifics on that. But the next thing I do is inventory your household goods. I don't know how many PCS moves you've done or if you've done any at all, but you want to have inventory of all your things, video, record, packet with maybe even inventory on the box of what you have, take pictures. You want to do whatever you can because things get lost or taken, stolen, things like that do occur. So it's really important that you have all the information that you need that you can claim your stuff and the condition it's in beforehand. So that's a really useful tip. So there's another thing you can do. You don't have to necessarily have movers. You can also do a ditty move. You can move by yourself. Personally, I've done it one time. It was miserable, miserable. Both my husband and I, we had two kids were moving with three dogs and loading everything up and packing everything up. And we even had people unload it when we got there. We were just over it. It just causes a lot of stress and tension. And honestly, unless you really need the money, it's not worth it at all. Not worth it. I would never do it again. To be honest with you, it just causes too much stress in your relationship, too much stress with kids and all the particular things. And then you add lodging and temporary lodging and all that stuff on there. It's just a lot. So if you are going to do a ditty move, maybe hire people to help just load and unload. That makes somewhat easier, but it's really up to you on what you want to do with that. So if you don't have any or you don't know any moving companies that are trustworthy, that's another thing that's really important to look into. Look into moving companies with high star reviews that are military related. We obviously all move a lot and have had to move a lot with PCS. So you really get to know who's good and who's not pretty quickly. I would also say that I have in Colorado, I know a few good moving companies. So if you do need help with moving, just reach out below in the comment section and put need movers. and then the state, and I can recommend a moving company that's reliable and good. But still, it's very important to always inventory all your stuff. So the next thing you want to do about 3 to 6 months out in the intermediate steps, I would contact your installations transportation office. They can guide you through the moving process and help arrange for movers, or at least point you in the right direction. I'll just say that. If you know, you know. And it varies from different offices and different bases. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you stuff that's not true. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to schedule a move date. Very important, especially during PCS season, because everybody gets busy and everything gets filled up pretty quickly. So you want to stay on that. Schedule a moving date. It's absolutely critical for ensuring you will get the moving services that you need when you need them. It can be crazy, crazy, crazy during PCS season. It really can. The next thing I would do, and military probably already do this. I don't know if military have their families do this or not, but most military have all their documents in one place. That's kind of the way they're taught. So, but as far as that, you want to also make sure your family, and you want to begin gathering all your important information for your family, documents like passports, birth certificates, medical records, any legal paperwork in one place, school transfer information to take to the next school, whatever it is. You need to have it, all the important documents, in somewhere where it's immediately available when you're moving, not packed up. Just don't pack it up, guys. You don't want to have to go through that whole truck. It's not fun. You know, you learn these mistakes once and you remember, like you really do. A lot of people do. So the next one I would do, as far as the final preparations, is looking at 1 to 3 months out. You're going to want to confirm your housing arrangements. By this time, you need to have figured out if you're planning on living on or off base, if you're going to live off base, if you plan on renting or buying a home. And as far as buying, I personally think military areas are the most sustainable, stable places to purchase a home for several reasons. I'm going to get into this. Why is so you get the whole picture. When you're looking at bases like Colorado Springs, this is the Colorado group, and there is other bases, but there's 4 bases in Colorado Springs. So very high volume of military and PCSing. I've known people that have had houses and multiple houses for years in the Springs, and some of them decide to sell as soon as after they bought and they want to PCS again, they'll sell. But I've known other people that are in the military that will choose to rent out their house and have a property management company. They'll have the property management company take care of the renters and the whole process. By doing that, you're letting somebody else pay your mortgage. I mean, unless it's a new house, and even if it is a new house, you can make sure that the property management team has the right paperwork. They'll have the right paperwork in place. And you want to pick a good property management team if you do decide to rent your house after you move. But since we're just talking about moving, but buying is a really good option depending on the market. But the market in the Springs is amazing. It's always, I mean, it's sustainable. We have 4 bases, stable income for pretty much everybody, even the people that are retired there or DOD. It's stable income. So there hasn't been any issues, even during the hardest times in the last few years, COVID, everything was getting hit. Colorado Springs was very little affected as opposed to a lot of the other areas in the state of Colorado. So just to give you a heads up, housing has went up everywhere in the last few years, and it does seem expensive, I'm sure, in Colorado Springs. But also you want to look at, besides the expense and the cost, because interest rates are going to come down soon. I would look at also the area, extremely important. Safety is important, guys. I know people think Colorado Springs is probably not bad or doesn't have bad areas compared to where you're from. And I get that. I used to think this, yeah, right. You know, that's a joke. I'm from the South. We have some really bad areas. And I'm sure a lot of people are from like New York and other places. So I'm not saying that specifically, but I'm just saying there's other places that are a lot worse. I understand that, but just be very aware and look up for yourself the safety in the areas that you're looking to buy or rent, because there is crime everywhere and there's safer areas than others. And realtors legally cannot tell you where you can or can't move by safety. So you really have to do your own research on that. So I would highly recommend that you look into the safety of the area. So also, I wanted to tell, so a little bit about investment, just real quick on military housing. I knew a dual military couple. They were both enlisted and they were lifers. They were going to be in there and retire and both come out and have a retirement. They're married. You know, everything's great. During that period of time, I met them about 13 to 14 years in. They already had 7 or 8 houses they have bought, then rented out as they've moved. I really think this process is super important if you can do it. So I like to help other people, because if I would have known this, I would have done this a long time ago and I would have been on it, because it is the smartest retirement plan you can have, I think. And you're guaranteed, like if somebody doesn't pay and they're military, we all know what happens if you don't pay in your military. You get in big trouble. So they would buy a house when they got there, stayed in there for however long before they PCS. When they PCSed, they would move and rent it out. Well, eventually they were able to put payments towards that and pay it off. Slowly they put payments and paid it off. So then they bought another house. So when they continued the cycle over and over and over again. By doing this, they now had 7 or 8 houses. They're 13 to 14 years in the military before retirement on dual military, and they're just able to have that rental income coming in and put money towards another house. So it starts after it's paid off, they would just continually putting it in. And eventually we're able to have multiple houses. Like I said, they had 7 or 8 houses, and this was like 10 years ago, but I'm sure they're out of the military now and probably have way more houses, but they have dual retirement now, and however many houses, probably 10 houses or 8 to 10 houses, who knows. And they're using that rental, able to have that rental income pay for all of these houses, and it will pay for all these houses because they're in a military area. The rent and people wanting to rent is going to happen. If you have a nice house and it's in somebody needs a place to stay, it's not hard to rent in a military area normally. If you pick the right neighborhoods and stuff, it's really easy. So that's something also to look into. I want to help other people in their investments and their future so that you can be like that couple and have rental income paying 10 houses or 8 houses or however many mortgages it is. It is paying for all these houses. Eventually it's going to pay off. It's going to be paid off. You're going to have rental income and just you're doing well. Let's just say that you're going to be doing very well. So that's something definitely to look into. I just highly recommend doing that. There's multiple ways to do it. I'd love to help you in any way I can to get started in that and give you more information. So just comment below that you need help with investing in a property, or you're looking at your future and you just need help. I can do a 30-minute Zoom call with anybody. You just have to comment below Zoom call or PM me and we'll figure it out. So just, comment below that you want to do a Zoom call. I'm going to have a link below where you can actually schedule it too if you'd like. And we will take care of business and make sure that you're looked after and taken care of so that you can look out for your family and your future the best way possible. And investments are always good, especially real estate. That's the easiest, and I won't say the easiest, but it is one of the easier and fastest ways to gain wealth. So moving on. So the bottom line I was going to say is no matter where you're going to live, make sure your housing is secure. Sorry, I got sidetracked, but no one wants to stay very long in temporary housing or a hotel. So make sure it's secured and that all the dates line up properly and that you'll have a place to stay in a reasonable amount of time. It just really helps, especially when you have kids or animals, guys. That's not fun to be in like one hotel room with 3 dogs, 2 kids, and it gets a little busy and crazy. And that's another thing. If you're going to be in temporary housing and you have kids or dogs, bring toys and things. I mean, I'm sure moms already know this, but have a little pack of things for each child to play with while they're there, dogs, cats, whatever. where they can have it out already. So the toys and things that they need for activities are accessible, because it could be a plane ride that you're doing, it could be a car trip, it could be across the country, but you're going to need to have them busy or you're not going to have a happy time at all. We all know that. But also start packing non-essential items. Begin packing things you don't use daily to make the final packing stages less stressful. So if you do it little by little and put the stuff in that you're not using already first and pack that first, it goes a lot easier. And then you'll know by the end of it what you're going to need, your basics and stuff like that. Label everything, inventory everything, goes a lot easier for packing, proof, etc. So what are your house? It says, what are my housing options for when I PCS? So obviously, on-base housing is one. The pros to that is it's close to work for the military member. Access to community resources, safety, it's often lower out-of-pocket cost. I think that's, it kind of varies, honestly. It's not always that way. I've seen it pretty even for a lot of places. The cons would be limited availability, potential wait times, not satisfied with the housing, maintenance, etc., which I've heard before locally. But yeah, that you have to do your own research on that, because I'm not going to say one way or another. I don't want to have anybody after me for that. But I've just, in a lot of the wives' military sites, we'll just say that, post-housing, they complain about maintenance and things like that and how long it takes for people to arrive. And I don't know. It's really up to you. Do your own research. I've heard some have awesome new communities that they love, and others, maybe the older sections, not as much. But it's really up to you whether you would be on or off base. But also, you have the gate. You have to go in and out of the gate. That's one thing you want to look at too. So not always a great thing when you have to wait in line to go on post or off post, but it's up to you. So how to apply for on-base housing. You're going to contact the housing office at your new installation as soon as possible to get on the waiting list. Be nice to them, guys. I've worked for the housing office before, and the nicer you are, it just really helps. And just don't be rude. I mean, I'm sure people can get ugly towards other people, and it's not going to help your situation. So just try to be patient and nice, because if you do, you never know. You might get a better housing situation. You might get something newer or faster. Just being honest here. Let's see. So off-base housing, renting. The pros on renting provides flexibility and the opportunity to choose your neighborhood that fits your family's needs best, possibly your other partner, how fast or far they're going to be traveling to work, and maybe fit something that's more compromisable for everyone involved. Maybe closer to in a better school district, or closer to parks or hiking, or someplace that you like the views better, because Colorado has some views, guys. It has some views. We have the most beautiful sunsets, mountains, even it's just gorgeous here. It is absolutely gorgeous. And there's so many things to do, but we're going to talk about that on another episode. So going back to that, yeah, but renting is really, I mean, that's a positive as well. You want to make sure you're renting from somebody that's good in a safe area. Yeah, just be careful doing any of that. And I can also help with the renting needs as well if you need help with rental assistance, or rental help finding a rental. It's pretty easy, but if you need help, I'm able to help you. Rental, buying, whatever, just reach out. I'd love to help you. Have any issues with any of this stuff, really, it's just a matter of sticking together and working together and helping each other. And that makes life a lot easier for all of us, because we've all been there. Well, and if you haven't, that's why we're helping you. It's not always an easy road. And military families, military members serving obviously sacrifice a lot, but family members, people don't know. Like when you get in the military, it's a sacrifice for the family members too. We are single parents. We have to deal with deployments, and the kids are upset and they miss mommy or daddy, and it's a lot. So we just need to stick together and support each other. I don't have time for drama or any of that. So I'm here completely trustworthy, able to help, and no judgment on anything, because I've been through the ringer myself. So if you need help, please reach out. The next thing would be considerations for renting or buying would be the rent amount, the utilities, commute times, and the local school quality and safety of the area. Buying similarly is it's basically the same thing. So, but buying, you're going to be putting it towards the mortgage of your home using that BAH as, people say free rent, but I don't think that's like free rent, but it actually goes to something you will own after you get out of the military, which I personally am all for. But it also depends on your budget, your rank, your BAH, your dependents. All those things are always a factor to see if it works for you and your family. So it's something definitely look into. In buying, if you're wanting to buy a home, buying a home, besides being a good investment, in a military town, it's really a great investment, in my opinion, because you can sell it when you're moving, or you can always rent it out to someone else who can pay your mortgage. I know I already said that, but you can also make sure you get a property manager to handle everything, and you're good to go. And you can just move on to the next place, maybe buy another house for an investment. It's always good, though, when you're doing that, to have a couple months saved up just in case you run into a bad renter, so to make sure that it can be paid. But I personally have very rarely seen any of that happen. And with so many military members near the military bases that are renting, it's been actually, I've seen a lot of success with it. So I think that's a really good pro. So considerations that you need to look at if you're going to buy is the market conditions, long-term plans, the VA home loan benefit, which offers favorable long terms for military families. If you don't know what the VA loan is, it's amazing. It will save you so much money, guys. And I have people that I work with that you can have good credit, bad credit. Like, these people are amazing at getting people approved with VA and being able to, they really go above and beyond. They're called Omni Home Financing. And I work with them specifically because they do such a great job of really taking care of my clients the way I would. And they make sure that if somebody has an issue and they're not able to do this or that, they know what paperwork to file. These people have worked at big banks and know all the ins and outs of banking to be able to not just push papers across like you're just another number. They will go in, and I've seen them actually save this man's house. Like, a veteran was behind several months on his property, and he contacted them and was like, hey, I don't know what to do. I can't afford this. I've been going through a hard time, da 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 da. And they were able to put in the proper paperwork to save this man's house. And this was just recently. And that's just one of the many things I've seen them do. And they didn't make a penny off that, guys, but they did change this man's life. That's huge. I always love working with great people, and I keep great people in my circle. So if you're looking for a mortgage lender, and this isn't advertised, I have nothing with them on this, I'm just highly recommending them because they are legitimately amazing people, amazing friends, family. Like, I consider them like family. They treat you like family. That is 100% true. And I just love them. They're awesome people, and they really go above and beyond for every one of their clients. They really do. And they care. So anyways, enough of that. But if you do need a VA loan, definitely check them out, because they're just awesome people, and they will make sure that you're taken care of the right way. And they really love our military and appreciate our military and the service of everyone. So I would highly recommend them. Another thing to consider is temporary lodging. Everybody knows what it is. It provides temporary, you can sometimes be a hotel, it can be Airbnb, who knows what they have at this time, but you want to check the amount that you're allowed to be provided, and your daily amounts for food. But always save all your receipts. That's another thing. I'll get there in a minute. So the cons of buying, it can be more expensive in the long run than BH. Okay, start back over. Let's see. Okay, temporary lodging provides immediate housing upon arrival while you search for a more permanent solution, which can take time, guys. It can take time. The cons of that is it can be more expensive in the long run if you're having to stay in temporary housing, and it's not always going to be paid after a period of time. So be careful, but also make sure you keep your receipts. The cons of that also are, besides being expensive, it's less comfortable for extended stays. It can be really uncomfortable if you have kids and animals, which I know all about. I remember when I had 2 kids and 3 dogs in a hotel room, and it was a lot. And I was just ready to get out and move to my house. And thank God we came up here a weekend beforehand and narrowed it down to 2 options of which house we wanted, and made an offer on one and ended up getting it. So when we moved down here, it only took a few days for closing, or we already had the ends of the closing going. On the offer was accepted, so we just had to wait like not very long, like a week or so, I think. I can't remember, it's been a while, but yeah, so we waited like a week or so, and that's still really hard, just even having younger kids or dogs in a hotel. So just looking out for you. Many military bases, not many, but some of them will have temporary lodging facilities, but you need to book early if you're going to do that, because there's a high demand. And also with the hotels, even though they're nearby, there's also high demand. So you also want to check your daily allowance for your hotel and your food beforehand. That varies on your rank and the number of dependents you have. And like I said before, always keep your receipts. If you want to get paid, guys, you're going to have to keep your receipts. I know your military members know this. Like, you're not going to get paid if you don't. Bottom line. At least I've never seen it. Okay, so question B, somebody said, how much baggage can you take on a military flight? So knowing the baggage allowance helps you plan with what to pack and what to ship. This going to Hawaii, that's what I did for one of the moves. We had to figure out who was going to be able to take what and how many pounds it's going to be. And you want to get one of those weighing things, and because they'll make you take your stuff out and charge you astronomical prices. If not, I mean, on the way back, like it's just crazy. They will charge you for a little bit, or you have to throw something away. So anyway, the check bags, typically service members are allowed to check 2 pieces of luggage, each weighing up to 70 pounds, but you always want to check with each individual airline, because sometimes they have different rules, and just want to be safe. Normally you can usually have a carry-on and 1 personal belonging or 1 personal item. Special considerations you want to consider is if you need to bring more than the standard allowance, be prepared for additional fees. That's pretty like what we just talked about. In some cases, excess baggage fees can be waived for PCS moves, but always check with your transportation office and your airlines for the specifics. Don't just think it's going to happen. We all know that's not how it works. Prohibited items, pretty typical. Be aware of items that can't be transported on military flights, such as hazardous materials or anything. Common sense, guys. What kind of reimbursements are available when I arrive? Well, understanding your entitlements can save you money and reduce stress. The DLA, it's dislocation allowance, helps with covering moving related expenses. Most of the service members relocating due to PCS are eligible. The amounts vary based on rank and dependency status. So something to look into. How to apply, you submit your request to the installations finance office. And temporary lodging expense, excuse me, TLE. The purpose of this is it covers the cost of temporary lodging and meals while you're waiting for permanent housing. So you have an allowance there. So it's something to also look into. Per diem. A lot of people probably already understand that, but I'm going to just break it down anyway. Per diem covers daily expenses while traveling to your new duty station. So eligibility based on the distance of your move and the number of dependents will you'll be able to figure that one out. You just have to look that one up and ask them. They'll be able to help you with that. So you're going to submit your travel claim. You're going to submit your travel claim through the Defense Travel System, Defense Travel System, DTS, or your local finance office. Okay, so You can do a PPM, personally procured move. We call them DITY. I don't know. Everybody has their own language, but depending on what service, military your spouse is in, or so there's different lingo, you know. We call it DITY move, but it says personally procured move, so PPM. Maybe it's a new word, but so the purpose of this is to allow you to be reimbursed for moving yourself. And we went over my story earlier. It's up to you really and your spouse. I would just keep that in mind. Eligibility, you have to be service members who choose to move their household goods themselves. So how it works, you can receive up to 95% of what it would cost the government to move you. Keep all the receipts and weigh tickets for reimbursement. I mean, you can make some money, I guess, off of it. You just really have to look into it, but it is a lot of work, not to sugarcoat it at all. So I hope we covered quite a bit here. And if you have any questions or any topics you'd like to discuss, comment them down below. I hope this video has answered some of those burning questions you've had about PCS moves. Remember, preparation and knowledge are key to making your move as smooth as possible. If you have any other questions or topics you'd like to cover, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. My team and I can help you and your family with housing and mortgage financing. So if you're interested in looking at buying a home, please, or you need some kind of help at all with what we've covered, please feel free to comment, or we can do a 30-minute Zoom call with me to discuss your housing needs so that I can help you in the process, and really we can decide what makes sense for you and your family and what areas you want to live in. And, you know, I can give you the information that you need to make a proper decision if that helps. So like I said below, you can book a 30-minute Zoom call for free, obviously, to discuss your housing needs and see if I can help you. And we'd love to do whatever we can to help you get through this hard time. So I hope this helped. Like and subscribe for more, and we're going to have a lot more coming your way soon. Have a great one.